dear students from grade 11 Science, St. Peter's College, Colombo, Nigambo branch. Today I am going to discuss with you the biological processes of the human body. Under biological processes of the human body, today I am going to discuss chemical coordination and the homeostasis. First, I would like to ask a question. What is the coordination? What is the chemical coordination? Now look at this picture. Suppose you are outside the house under hot sun. When you are under hot sun, what are you going to do? Are you remaining under hot sun? No. You find different solutions to avoid the hot sun. Look at these examples. When you are under severe sunlight, you try to find a shade. Or else you are going to have an ice cream because you feel thirsty. Or you try to fan. Sometimes you wear shades. And also you feel uncomfortable when you are under hot sunlight. Right. What are the responses you made because of the hot sunlight? That is the stimulus. You feel uncomfortable or you felt uncomfortable, then there are different choices. It is free to decide. Then you respond, you take different actions to avoid the hot sunlight. Stimulus from the external environment, then you decide what you have to do next, then you respond. This is the coordination. I'll take another example. Suppose you see a cup of fruit juice. When you see a cup of fruit juice, you see it from your eyes. Eye is a sensory organ, right? The message is passing to your brain, right? Then you take the cup of fruit juice and have it, right? Now, stimulus is the cup of fruit juice, right? You see it from your eyes. The neurons are getting the message. First, you can see the blue color one, sensory neuron. It is the sensitive neuron which gets the message, then sending it to your brain through the relay neuron. Then from there to the motor neuron. From motor neuron to the effector or the muscle. Then you move your hand to get the cup of glass. Now we'll see the change that takes place in the external environment which is detectable by the sensory organs is called the stimulus. The change that takes place in the external environment which is detectable is known as the stimulus. This is the definition for the stimulus. Responding to stimulus. Here I have taken an example. How do you respond for an external change? Here the condition is hot. You have kept a saucepan on the hot plate. When you hold it, you feel the hotness. The stimulus is the heat or the fire. Then you respond, you take your hand away from this hot pan. What are the stimuli? Or we call the stimuli as the receptors. They are the sensory organs. Here are the sensory organs present in your body. Ear for hearing, eyes for sight, then your mouth or the tongue for taste, nose for smell, and skin or fingers for touch. Then we'll see the relation of stimuli and the receptor. Relation between the sensory organs and the receptor. Look at this example. Stimulus. A detectable change in the external environment. You have the ability to grab it because of the receptors. Then passing it through the sensory neuron to your brain or to the central nervous system. From there, through the relay neuron, or we call interneuron, to the motor. Sensory neuron, the middle interneuron, and then the motor neuron. This is the path for the nerve message. Then it comes to the effector or your muscle. Then you respond for the particular action. Now we will see the way of traveling electric impulse or the nerve impulse. We call this path as the reflex arc. Right. Look at this example. There is a candle, a lighted candle. Suppose you send your finger there to the flame. What happens? You feel the hotness. Then, this is the receptor, your skin or the finger. The message is sending through the sensory neuron to the central nervous system. Interneuron is there. The yellow color one is for the interneuron. Get the message from the sensory neuron, then it is passed into the interneuron. From interneuron to the motor neuron, through the motor neuron to the effector or the muscle. Then you take your hand or the finger away from the candle flame. What are the two systems involved with the coordination? What are the two systems involved with the coordination? Let us see what are these two systems. The two systems are nervous system and the endocrine system. The nervous system is composed with neurons. The endocrine system is composed with glands. They are secreting hormones. These are the two systems involving with the coordination, or we call chemical coordination. Now next we will discuss about the nervous system. On the nervous system, first I would like to explain the building unit of the nervous system. The building unit of the nervous system is a neuron. It is the structural unit, or we call the neuron is the functional unit of the nervous system. Now we will see the main parts of the neuron. Neuron has a cell body, and in the middle there is a nucleus. Around the nucleus there is a cytoplasm, or we call soma. Right? In this cytoplasm, organelles are embedded. More mitochondria are there to derive more energy, to provide more energy. Nucleus has the ability to control all the cellular activities. You can see some projections are here arising from the cell body. They are dendrites. And here you can find a long part. This long part is known as the axon. Around the axon there is a myelin sheath. It's a fatty sheath and it has the ability to absorb all the shocks which comes towards the neuron. Then here you can see some nodes. These are known as nodes of Ranvier. Nodes of Ranvier. The purpose of the nodes of Ranvier, speed up the nerve impulses. Right. Now, when you go through the lengthy axon, you can find again some branches. At the end of these branches, you can find a button-like structure. These branches are known as axon terminals. And there's a button-like structure. We call the button-like structure as the end plate. Right. I have taken an enlarged diagram of the end plate. Here you can see, suppose this end plate is this, equals to this. What is this? This is the part of here of the next cell body of the next neuron. Next neuron is combining here. The cell body of the next neuron is here and end plate of that particular neuron, and here this end plate is here. In between these two, there is a space. Then how does the nerve message travel? If there is a space like this, these end plates has the ability to secrete a chemical. The chemical is known as the neurotransmitter. This neurotransmitter helps to send the message or the nerve impulse from this end to the cell body of the next neuron. This space is known as the synapse. This is the structure of the neuron, and this is the way the nerve message travels from one neuron to the next neuron. Now, here I have taken a diagram to explain the way of traveling the nerve message from one neuron to the next neuron, or the connection method of two neurons. This is the neuron, cell body, or we call cell body, the cytoplasm we call soma. There's a nucleus here, projections are dendrites are here, long axon, around the axon the fatty sheath, or we call the myelin sheath. Then synapse here, recall the previous diagram, and even here I have taken a enlarged diagram of the space of the space or the synapse. Here is the end plate, the tiny sacs with the chemical, the name of the chemical neurotransmitter, secreted to the space through the neurotransmitter, sending the nerve message from this end to the next end. This is the way how the nerve message travels from one neuron to the next neuron. Now there are three different types of neurons. They are sensory neuron, interneuron, or we call relay neuron, and the motor neuron. Right. Now we will see the structural differences of the three neurons: sensory, interneuron, and the motor neuron. Sensory neuron, in the sensory neuron, the cell body is located in the middle. And here you can see dendrites, axon, cell body, axon terminals. Interneuron we call the relay neuron. The axon is short. Relay neuron or the interneuron has a short axon. These are the axon terminals with end plates, and here the dendrites. And this is the motor neuron, cell body, nucleus, axon and the axon terminals. Accordingly, there are three different types of neurons. They involve with the sending of nerve impulses in your body. Now we will see the interaction of these three neurons when they pass a nerve message. This is the receptor. From the receptor, the sensory neuron is getting the message. This is the cell body of the sensory neuron. Here are the dendrites. It is connected to the interneuron or the relay neuron. From the interneuron, then the message is sending to the motor neuron. Receptor, from the receptor getting the message from the sensory neuron, then passing to the interneuron or the relay neuron, from there to the motor neuron, from motor neuron to the effector or your muscle. This is the way or the interaction of the nerve message in between these three neurons. Right. Under nervous system, there is a classification. We can classify the nervous system into central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Under central nervous system, again we can divide this into two, brain and the spinal cord. Under brain, there are three main parts: cerebrum, cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. Then under peripheral nervous system, there are cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Cranial nerves means they are starting from your head region. So there are 12 pairs arising, 2 from either side. Accordingly, there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves, and spinal nerves, they are arising from either side of your spinal cord, and there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. This is a classification for the nervous system. Now we will talk about the CNS, Central Nervous System. Control of activities and chemical coordination, function of the CNS. Then consists with brain and the spinal cord. Those are the components of the CNS, brain and the spinal cord. Then skull provides protection to the brain. Skull is the bony structure that is the outermost part of the brain. It provides protection for your brain. Brain is a muscular organ. Vertebral column protects the spinal cord. The spinal cord runs through the vertebral column. So, the vertebral column is the protective part for the spinal cord. Then, brain and the spinal cord covered by 3 meninges. The meninges are thin membranes, thin layers. Actually, the function of these 3 meninges, they supply protection. Between the meninges, there is a thick viscous fluid. We call the fluid as the cerebrospinal fluid. The cerebrospinal fluid has the ability to provide protection as a nutritional medium, acts against the microbes and absorbing all the shocks. This is the cerebrospinal fluid present in between the meninges. Then function of them: support brain and spinal cord, absorbing all the shocks and jerks, protection against microbial infections and desiccation, avoid from drying, that is the desiccation, and nourishing tissue, as a nutritional medium. Those are the main functions of the cerebrospinal fluid. Next, we will talk about the cranium, sutures, meninges and the cerebrospinal fluid. This is the cranium, or we call skull. Skull provides protection to your brain. And here you can find some wavy lines, they are the sutures. When doctors do brain operations, they have the ability to separate the parts of the cranium from these sutures. And here, this is the brain. Here I have taken the enlarged part of this, the rectangular part here. Here you can find the meninges or the membranes. In between them there is a thick fluid. That fluid is the cerebrospinal fluid. Right. Now we will talk more on the human brain. Brain is protected by the cranium or the skull and surrounded by 3 meninges. The brain is about 1/50 of the body weight. Accessories, there are some accessory cells, button-like structures. They are known as glia or neuroglia. Actually, these are not participating with the sending of nerve impulses. They are like supportive cells. Okay, supportive cells. In the brain, there are 3 main parts: cerebrum, cerebellum, and the medulla oblongata. Location of the grey matter and white matter of the brain. When we go through a section of the brain, the outer part consists with grey matter. Inner to it, we can find the white matter. Here, the peripheral region consists with grey matter. The outer region consists with grey matter. It is because of the cell bodies. Because of the cell bodies. Then, the inner region is consists with white matter. It's because of the nerve fibers. Right. Now we will talk about the main part of the brain, cerebrum. This is the largest part of your brain. Cerebrum is the largest part and highly developed. Here you can see the surface is well convoluted. That is to increase the surface area. And there are 2 hemispheres as left and right. Left and right hemispheres are there. Cerebrum cortex highly convoluted. That is to increase the surface area. And the left cerebral hemisphere controls the right and right hemisphere controls the left. This is the cerebrum. Next, the function of the cerebrum. Perception of impulses, sensitive for impulses, so getting the impulses. Identification, the sensory information. Identify the particular message. Storage of this information. Perception of senses. Then for examples we can take pain, vision, temperature, taste, smell. Sensitive for all these things. Then perform high mental activities, or we call high cognitive activities. They are learning, intelligence and thinking. Then controlling of voluntary muscle contraction. Example, skeletal muscle contraction. Right. Now the next 2 parts of the brain, there are 3 main parts. Cerebrum, we discussed the features and functions of the cerebrum. Now cerebellum and medulla oblongata. This is the cerebellum. Above it, the cerebrum, we discussed. This is the cerebellum and this is the brain stem, or we call medulla oblongata. Right. Cerebellum located just below the latter part of the cerebrum, just down the cerebrum. You can find the location here. Location of the cerebellum, just below the cerebrum. Cerebellum. Then even there are two hemispheres. You can find the two hemispheres. Grey matter is present in outer layer. Now you have an idea about grey matter and the white matter. Then white matter interiorly, inner. Then functions are maintenance of the body balance, then control of voluntary muscle activities and maintenance of body movement. These are the functions of the cerebellum. And then medulla oblongata, or we call brain stem, located anteriorly interior to the cerebellum, inner to the cerebellum, just front. Then control many life processes. They are all reflex actions and involuntary actions. Functions of the medulla oblongata or the brain stem: control the rate of heartbeat, control the rate of respiration, and control all reflex actions like vomiting, coughing, and swallowing. Right. Now we will talk about the spinal cord. This is the vertebral column. Here you can see the vertebral column. Inside the vertebral column, the spinal cord runs. The vertebral column is the protective part for the spinal cord. Tubular structure starting from the medulla oblongata, right, or from the brain stem, runs through vertebral column. Peripherally, white matter. Outside white matter, innerly grey matter. Then the spinal nerves start symmetrically at either side of the spinal cord. Here you can see white matter outside, grey matter inner. When you go through a cross section of the spinal cord. Right. Now we will learn what is a reflex arc. Coordination between the neurons, receptors, and the effector. Earlier also I explained similar diagram. This is the reflex arc, or the path for the traveling of the nerve message. Here, receptor. This is the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron is getting the message from the external environment, right? Then passing to the interneuron, or we call relay neuron. From relay neuron to the motor neuron. Sensory neuron, interneuron, and motor neuron. This is the order of arrangement of the neurons to send the electrical impulses. From motor neuron to the effector or the muscle, when you react against the particular environmental change. What are the neurons involved with the three reflex arc? Sensory, inter, and motor neurons. Reflex action. It's a sudden action, quick action, and involuntary response to a particular stimulus. Changes happening in the internal or external environment. Right. Now we will take the reflexes as cranial reflexes. Your brain is involved with this, and the spinal reflexes. Cranial reflexes controlled by your brain. Spinal reflexes controlled by the spinal cord. Cranial reflexes takes place in head region. Spinal reflexes takes place in rest of the body. down from your head. Then cranial nerves are involved here because we talk about the cranial reflex. Then under spinal reflex, spinal nerves are involved. Examples for cranial reflexes: sneezing, salivation, secretion of saliva, and blinking your eyes. For spinal reflexes, moving the hand away when it contacts with the hot surface, or lifting the leg when you step on a thorn, on a sharp object. Now we will talk about the autonomic nervous system, or we call ANS. The function of the autonomic nervous system: coordinate involuntary activities. Coordination of the involuntary activities. Examples here. We look at the main parts of this system. ANS composed of two parts: sympathetic nervous system, or we call SNS, and parasympathetic nervous system, or we call PNS. These are the components of the autonomic nervous system, or ANS. These systems cause opposite effects. That is the function of the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. We see the differences between PNS and SNS, parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system controls homeostasis. That means maintenance of the internal environment of your body and the body at rest. When your body is at rest, the PNS is active there, responsible for the body's rest as well as the digest. These are the main duties of the parasympathetic nervous system. Then we look at the functions or the duties of the SNS, or we call central nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system, or SNS, controls the body's responses to a perceived threat. When there is a threat, your body is trying to avoid the particular threat. For an example, responsible for the fight or flight. You can fight or you can run away. Here you can see the two examples taken for the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. Here, sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. Parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. Here the schema explaining how parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems are working. Now this is the brain. This is the brain stem and the spinal cord. Here parasympathetic nervous system, and this side for the sympathetic nervous system, and the activity is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. Right. This is the medulla oblongata. Eye. Constrict pupil. Reduce the size of the pupil. The opposite is done by the sympathetic nervous system, dilation of the pupil. Then salivary glands stimulate secretion of saliva. Sympathetic nervous system, inhibition of the secretion of saliva. Then parasympathetic nervous system slows your heartbeat, but sympathetic nervous system do the opposite, acceleration of the heartbeat or increase the heartbeat. Here lungs, constriction of the bronchi by the parasympathetic nervous system. But by the sympathetic nervous system, dilation of the bronchi. So your respiration rate goes high here. Then stomach stimulates digestion by the parasympathetic nervous system. But sympathetic nervous system, inhibition of the digestion process or reduction of the digestion process. And here liver stimulates bile secretion by the parasympathetic nervous system. But the sympathetic nervous system stimulates glucose release because your body needs more energy. Then next one, intestine stimulates peristaltic and secretions of different secretions. Then the sympathetic nervous system, inhibition of the peristalsis and reduce the secretions. Then bladder, constriction of the bladder by the parasympathetic nervous system, and sympathetic nervous system, relaxation of the bladder. Now the sympathetic system has done the opposite of this. These are the functions of the parasympathetic nervous system, or we call PNS, and sympathetic nervous system, or SNS. Right. Now there is a question for you. Name the neuron which involved in the peripheral nervous system. Next one, higher mental cognitive activities meta. What is the neuron involving with this function? Controlling the heartbeat rate, controlling the swallowing. You have to write what are the neurons involving here. Controlling the functions of the voluntary muscles. And next one, name the neurons which involved in the peripheral nervous system. Third one, what is the subsystem of the autonomous nervous system that functions mainly in an emergency? That is the fight or flight effect. The answers are provided. You can go through the, first you write answers, then go through your answers and check the answers. Thank you very much for the participation. Have a blessed day.